What's going on, everyone? I'm Jaren, and today we are talking about Insidious, the Red Door. This fifth and final chapter to the Insidious franchise is directed by Patrick Wilson, and we follow the story of the Lamberts having to go deeper into the further than ever before in order to put their demons to rest once and for all. 9 to 10 years after the events of Insidious Chapter 2, we catch up with the Lambert family on what they've been up to and how the past has affected their memories as well as their possible future. Now, looking back on the legacy of Insidious, they're very well known to have the most underwhelming marketing as well as posters or trailers, none of which have ever really set the bar high enough for me. Now, I went in on April 1st, 2011 with a date to go see the first Insidious movie, and I really thought that we were just going to see a disposable PG-13 horror film, and it turned out to be the most terrifying thing that I've ever seen. I mean, me and my date, we went home just completely shook. My nerves were rattled. I couldn't even look at the corner of my room when I got home, and my date was so upset with me that I really just pulled the most meanest April Fool's joke on her. She didn't speak to me for days. She was really giving me the cold shoulder. Other than the original Saw film, Insidious has become one of the most respected collaborations between James Wan and Leigh Whannell to ever kick off a popular horror franchise once again. And with the fifth movie at play, we have our main star, Josh Lambert, Patrick Wilson himself, taking on his directional debut with this, and it's safe to say that no other sequel will ever be the same without James Wan in the director's chair. But you can tell here, Wilson's eye behind the camera has definitely a lot of potential, and with that being said, he has learned a lot from James Wan, working with him alongside for over the years, whether that would be The Conjuring or even Aquaman. Wilson manages to capture the more notable nuances that made the franchise great, some of which would involve building dread or drawing out the scares, and at the same time delivering a more vulnerable and more personable performance to his role. Because of his character being just very foggy in the last 9 years and having to being hypnotized to forget all of the horror, his internal struggle to remember familiar faces, including his own family, is very heartbreaking and at the same time very difficult for him to grasp. Unfortunately, the final product does stagger with the script at hand, and while Leigh Whannell was the one who pitched the story, Scott Teems was the one who penned the script, and he's responsible for Halloween Kills and the remake to Firestarter. You see where I'm headed? There is passion for the franchise, but like Halloween Kills, the script likes to treat its audience like amnesia patients and constantly remind us what happened in the movies before every 5, 10 to 15 minutes. It's like this sequel, this so-called finale, was made for viewers who have never seen a single Insidious movie before. Now, in reminiscent of The Matrix Resurrections, we got Keanu Reeves and Carrie-Anne Moss, who spend 80% of the movie recapping, retreading on what happened in the movies before, just to catch our characters up to speed with their memory. And the same thing happens here with Ty Simpkins and Patrick Wilson's characters, except every single supporting character is trying to keep them from uncovering the truth, thinking that they would protect them, making them completely oblivious of the ghoulish threats that plague them. They made some risky decisions with the Lambert family since the last time that we saw them. With the haunting stirring up, we figured the entire family unit would be involved this time around, and keeping our focus on Josh and Dalton, the entire Lambert family is completely underutilized and just completely separated throughout the entire runtime. I thought that it kept a lot of the richer elements at bay and left out a lot of key players that would have progressed our main character's state of mind by Act 2. Now, the bold choice they made about this movie was bringing in Ty Simpkins once again to reprise his role as Dalton Lambert. He hasn't done much since Iron Man 3, and even now we're wondering, is this kid going to live up to the potential he had when he was a lot younger, as a young adult now? Is he going to perform as Dalton? And I was actually pretty surprised. I mean, he was bedridden in the first movie, he was sidelined in the second, and now we get to see him in the forefront as our main character. His relationship with his father Josh is very rocky and very strange, and I thought that was one of the more strongest and more personable elements in the entire movie. My favorite, actually, but yet it's actually only ever get the spotlight in the beginning and ending of the film. I mean, again, like I said before, they really are spending a lot of their time apart. Dalton's college life was interesting, but it overstayed its welcome all at the same time with all the different directions it decided to explore. His colleague Chris became a nice balance between comic relief and a really supporting friend. Although the comedy, the humor does begin to itch when they introduce a character called Nick the Dick, and he makes a few appearances, and it's just rather unnecessary, inconsequential. I thought rediscovering the further, as for Josh, it was through a lot of these pictures that he ends up finding, and for Dalton, it's through his art class. And I thought those were all interesting takes, but I thought it teetered a little too long on the obvious. With the amount of lore of the further that was explored in the previous chapters, I was actually disappointed that they didn't break new ground to expand the further's realm, and they didn't do anything new with it. It was the same run of the mill thing. And with our main antagonist, the lipstick demon, he doesn't become fully present until the final 5 minutes of the movie. There's even snippets in the trailer where the demon is doing a lot more things, even so, just maybe a couple more minutes of it. But that didn't make the final cut, and it felt completely rushed. Overall, they didn't go any further with this franchise, nor did they need to. I think that the Lambert's legacy was best wrapped up in part two. Wilson has definitely got my attention with any future projects he decides to direct in the future, but somehow I'm still excited to check out the upcoming spin-off that Blumhouse is currently working on, which is going to be titled Thread, an Insidious Tale, starring Kumail Nanjiani and Mandy Moore, if you know what I'm saying. Despite its flaws on being the weakest chapter among the 5 films, I do have to say I was still entertained by the scares, the drama, and the story it tried to tell. Alright guys, that's all I got to share about that movie. Go ahead and check it out if you want to. I also wanted to give a big shout out to Kahumanu 6, the movie theater over at the Queen Kahumanu Center of Kahului, Maui. Yeah, it was really emotional to finally say goodbye to a monumental stomping ground that was not just a place that we went to go watch movies, but some of us that was like our first jobs. You know, we met a lot of great people, made a lot of great friends, just talked about movies all the time, watched movies all the time, and yeah, I mean, with the good and the bad, you know, we just all smelled like popcorn at the end of the day. Just good stuff, good stuff. But I'm gonna miss that place. But in the meantime, look forward to more reviews. I'm Jaren Agbanawag, and I will see you guys at the movies. Take care.